I played 100 days of Stardew Valley, but as a vegan. Hello everybody, this is GamerGar. Welcome back to another 100 day Stardew Valley challenge. Veganism is a lifestyle that avoids all animal foods, such as meat, dairy, eggs and honey. Also animal derived products like leather. So taking this into consideration, let's look at the rules we have set up for this video. Rule number 1, we cannot use any animals in Stardew Valley or take advantage of any animal products. Rule number 2, we cannot kill any monsters in the game. We must respect the natural life cycle of all monsters in Stardew Valley. And for the final rule, we will not be allowing ourselves to fish in Stardew Valley. All fish must be respected. Taking those rules into consideration, let's have a look at 2 of the primary goals that we have set up for this challenge. The first is to make as much money as possible. How much money can we make in a full year using the rules that we have imposed upon ourselves? The second goal is to complete the community center. This will now be possible using a vegan mod that replaces some of the bundles in the community center with vegan approved bundles. All mods are in the description of the video. Let's get straight into the challenge and let's have some fun. Day 1 of the challenge commences on our lovely cozy vegan farm. We start by cutting down a couple of trees so we can get just enough wood to craft our very first chest. This will be used to store everything we pick up over the next few days. It was then time to move on to the farming aspect of the game, and we start by hoeing up the ground. We plant our free 15 parsnip seeds, and we also plant some mixed seeds as well there, as there's a chance they can yield potatoes and cauliflowers. Once that's done, we're going to spend the rest of the day running around the map, collecting as many forageables as possible in the hopes to increase our skill to foraging level 1 so we can make spring wild seeds in the near future. I also run down to the beach and I picked up a mussel here, I also picked up an oyster, but because of the rules that I have imposed upon myself, I couldn't actually sell these items because they were fish, so I just threw them back into the sea. I did however find some lovely spring onions which are going to come in super handy later on for cutting down more trees and making the most out of day 1. These are probably one of the best things you can get in day 1 for quick reserves of energy. I got super lucky at the end of today and I got a fairy which is going to boost my crop production by huge amounts. So I was able to harvest 7 parsnips and a cauliflower today thanks to our lovely fairy friend. I then spent a good portion of today just hoeing up the ground and planting some spring wild seeds that I made. It was then time to check out some of the help wanted quests, and we had Haley here looking for a green algae. So Haley was a prime candidate for the flower dance. I decided to give her the green algae just to get some friendship points and some extra money with her. She also commented saying nice shoes with those made out of plastic, and I took that as a great compliment because we can't use any clothing made from leather. It was then time to speak to Pierre. I sold him my parsnips, my cauliflowers, my cookies and bread, and these are all vegan friendly variants of course, and I spent all my money on kale. The reason why I bought so much kale is because it only takes 6 days for it to grow and it's a really nice money maker. So I got my fishing rod off Willie, I quickly thrown that into the water because we won't be doing any fishing in this challenge. I also visited Gunther today as well, and I managed to get a chicken statue from the farm, handed that in for a nice reward of 250 gold. And that 250 gold will come super handy later on as I can purchase more crops with that. For the rest of the day, I actually was mining rocks on the farm because they give mining XP. Mining level 1 not only gives me the ability to make a cherry bomb, but it gives me pickaxe proficiency, which means less energy when I use my pickaxe. So day number 3 was a rainy day. I normally fish on day number 3, but because we are a vegan, we couldn't actually fish today. Instead, I spent the day just doing foraging. I also picked up a sashimi inside of a trash can, but because of my strict veganism way of life, I could not eat or sell this sashimi. I figured the best thing to do was to just throw it into the water and be done with it. Despite the fact that it was raining today, there was still plenty to do around Stardew Valley, including scything up all of the fibre the game has to offer. Fibre will come in super handy later on in the video, especially when it comes to making things like tree fertilizers, tea saplings and other bits and bobs down the road. There was also lots and lots of fibre on the farm that we could scythe up as well, so I spent the great majority of the day doing just that. Day number 4 starts with watering up the crops, and many days will start this way until we unlock the sprinklers of course. I had a look at the help wanted quest. Shane was looking for an eel. That was a no-go for us, so we decided to push on and get on with the rest of our day. I found Caroline in the square here, gave her a daffodil. Caroline was super happy with that. we would attempt to push Caroline to 2 hearts, so she would tell us the secrets of the tea sapling, which will make us tons of profits. I got another level in foraging today, which was great. That pushes me up to level 2 foraging, and it just means more proficiencies for me. The less energy is used every time I swing my axe, and we're going to be doing a lot of axe swinging in this video. The more proficient we get in foraging, the less energy we use while using the axe. So we got a cat off Marnie today. We're going to call the cat Veggie. It is going to be the first vegetarian cat to ever exist in Stardew Valley, as far as I'm concerned, of course. I also managed to pick up some parsnips today, which was great. I'll end up selling those for some extra profit. I also went into the mines today, but I had to be super careful in the mines. I could not destroy any enemies whatsoever. So the main tactic was to avoid enemies at all costs, mine up all of the nodes that I see, hope to get the ladder as quickly as possible and descend down into the next floor. Rinse and repeat until I get to floor 120. When I got to floor 6, I got an ambushed room, and I got stuck here because I couldn't kill any enemies, and the only way to clear this room was by either A, killing all the enemies, which unlocks the ladder, or building a staircase yourself and using that. But I needed 100 stone to make one of those. I didn't have enough stone to make a ladder. The next day, it was time to look at the community centre. So I start with the spring foraging bundle, and that just required 1 of each spring forage, which was easy enough. The reward, 30 spring wild seeds. They were going to be planted right on the farm. I also purchased 1 of almost every spring crop from Pierre, as I needed those for community centre bundles. So it was time to get all those set up on the farm. It was then back down to the mines, and the goal was level 10 for now. When I got to level 10, I picked up leather boots. And the first thing that struck me here was the fact that these boots were leather, so I couldn't actually use them. So I had to throw the boots away, unfortunately. Hopefully, the next set of boots will have a description in them that won't indicate they are made from leather. The next day, our lovely kale was ready to be harvested, so we're going to scythe all this up, get level up in farming, and we're going to sell all this kale to make even more money and put that back into crops. This tactic will rinse and repeat itself until we have tons of crops on the farm, which equals tons of lovely money. Demetrius was looking for a red mushroom. We will oblige, of course, because we needed to get friendship points with Demetrius to learn certain recipes for the new vegan community centre bundles that we'll touch off later on in the video. But for now, we were going to settle for a backpack upgrade, which means our cave dwelling runs will be that much more profitable as we can store more items in our bags, so we're throwing away less. Today we're going with parsnip seeds and not kale because I wanted that extra bit of money so I can purchase lots of strawberries come the 13th, come the Easter event. So when I got to floor number 16 here, it was an ambush floor. I did come prepared, however, and I made a staircase which let me get down to floor 17, and I could motor on then, no problem at all, and try to make it to floor 20 before the day was out. The biggest problem with not saying enemies for this challenge was that I couldn't increase my combat level, hence I could not increase the HP my character had when it comes to taking hits off enemies. The starter enemies aren't so bad, but there will come a time where enemies will almost one-shot my character because my combat level will always be 0 for the whole run. When I got to floor 20, I got the steel small sword. Now I swapped this out for the rusty sword, and the only reason I did this was because the steel small sword looked a little bit cooler. I couldn't kill enemies, so it didn't really make a difference what weapon I had. The next day, look at all these lovely spring forageables ready to be harvested. I made 70 spring wild seeds from that harvest. I'm going to plant those straight back into the farm, and this method will be rinsed and repeated over and over again until we have hundreds, if not thousands, of lovely spring forageables. Demetrius gave me 225 gold today, giving him the red mushroom. I also got level 3 foraging. I can now make tappers, and I do end up making lots of tappers later on in the challenge. I picked up another help wanted quest today from Leah. She was just looking for the Recolour. I was lucky enough to get one out of a trash can here. I didn't really need to accumulate a whole lot of friendship points with Leah, but 75 gold was nothing to snuff at, especially when we're coming up so close to the Easter event where we can get those strawberries. So I completed a recycling bundle today. As a reward, I got a recycling machine. Very handy item indeed, especially if we're tearing open trash cans every day. Gave Leah the Recolour. She was happy with that. That was more money in my pocket. Back down to the mines, we are now on the dark floors. When I got to floor 39, I had the usual problem here of almost 0 energy. So instead of making the sacrifice and almost passing out, I just made a staircase because I had the stone to do it. Got down to floor 40. I got the slingshot here, I don't end up using that because it's a bit too risky, especially when it comes to the enemies in the game. It could potentially one-shot one of those flying critters. The next day I got cookies from the lovely mother, thank you so much mum, and I can say for sure that these were vegan friendly cookies. Milk was not used to make these as far as I'm concerned. There was one day left on the parsnips, which meant I could sell those on the 12th and I would have lots of money for strawberries on the 13th. I picked up the last axe that belonged to Robin, so that would be a handy 250 gold. We will return that into Robin there. Friendship points with Robin, but more importantly, 250 gold in our pocket. It was then back down to the mines, and the great thing about dust sprites is that they would mine open some of the ores for you. So I considered them to be a friend, until they started attacking me. On floor 44, things got very dicey indeed. This is just a sped up version of what I actually went through in the mines. I was trying to get a staircase because on floor 44, didn't want to start back on floor 40 if I left. The choice was made clear after a few minutes of running around: die or leave the mines. I decided to leave and reset progression just a little bit. The next day cheered me up quite a bit. I was able to harvest tons of crops on the farm, sell those, and then I was straight back down into the mines to make some more progress. Got down to floor 50, I got the tundra boots, checked out the description of these, and it read the fuzzy lining keeps your ankles so warm. Nothing there about leather or anything that vegans can't use, so I put the boots on straight away. +2 defense was hugely welcome to my character. It was a great day in the mines. Before I knew it, I was down to floor 60. I picked up the crystal dagger. This was no good, of course, as the secondary function of the dagger was a high DPS multi-hit attack. I decided to keep the steel small sword because of its secondary function allowed me to defend myself against monster attacks. Floor 61 was of course an ambush floor. I didn't have enough stone to make a staircase, so I left and decided to farm the previous floors. The next day I purchased 54 strawberries, not too bad for a run that involves no fishing. I'm going to plant those on the farm, but before I do that it was time to win the lovely straw hat, which I win in every challenge video because I've done it so many times now I lost count. Of course the winner was GamerGar, and as a reward the lovely straw hat. The next day it was the 14th and we begin picking up all of the lovely forageables on the farm. Leeks, daffodils, horseradishes and dandelions, all ready to be picked up. I made over 100 wild spring seeds, going to plant those straight back on the farm, and that cycle will of course rinse and repeat itself. I also had strawberries planted on the farm as well, so we were off to a really strong midsummer approach. It was then time to give Hayley some gifts because it was her birthday, and I wanted to get her to 4 hearts for the flower dance just so I'd have someone to dance with. I felt like Hayley understood my veganism ways, especially when she commented on my plastic shoes earlier on in the video. So it's back down in the mines, and I love showing footage like this where you come across rooms with tons and tons of crates. You never know what goods you might get out of those crates. When I got down into the 70s, I found the skeleton type enemies to be very difficult to deal with because they just would not lose aggro. Despite the fact that they weren't very fast, I only had a regular pickaxe, and sometimes I found myself cornered and they would throw projectiles at me, so getting through those floors was very difficult. The next day was a magnificent day. We finally got access to Caroline's secret sunroom. She would give us a recipe for the tea sapling. I also made it down to floor 80 in the mines on day 15 here. Got the firewalker boots. A massive increase in defense, +3 defense, +3 immunity. Also, the description of these boots said nothing about leather, so I figured it was okay to use these boots on a daily basis. When I got down into 82 here now, it got very dicey indeed. Not only did the red slimes pack a massive wallop, but if they debuffed me and my character got really slow, it was more or less impending doom for me. The bats were a nuisance as they were very fast. The nodes didn't restrict them like they restricted other enemies, so I had to get out of here very quickly indeed. It was going to take a lot of luck, a lot of RNG to get down to floor 100 without getting killed. It would all come down to what spawned on each floor. If I got spawns like this, I wasn't going to get very far unless I had lots of staircases. The next day, I'm going to spend a whole day cutting down trees because I needed wood to make tea saplings, because we needed to make lots and lots of money if I wanted some really good progress in spring. The main tactic here was to get enough money together to get starfruit in summer. So we start by pulling up all of the forageables the farm has to offer. I could then turn all these forageables into spring wild seeds. Now because we're on the 17th, I could still plant a lot of these spring wild seeds back into the farm, but I would also convert a lot into tea saplings just to get my hands on some big money early on. I managed to make 85 tea saplings in total. That's over 40,000 gold in the bag. It was then time to complete some of the community centre bundles. The spring crops bundle was an easy one to do. As a reward, I got 20 speed grows. I decided to keep those for now. I might use them later on in the challenge. I managed to finish off all of the miner bundles as well. The geologist bundle, the miner bundle. We also had an explorers bundle here. Instead of slime and bat wings and solar essences and void essences, it gave us artifacts to find. Thankfully, I managed to get those artifacts, no problem at all. Completing all the bundles in the boiler room, this will unlock fast travelling for us around Stardew Valley. The minecarts are always super handy to get early on in the game. It was also Salmonberry Day today, so I spent a good portion of today running around, rummaging through all the bushes, showing Linus who the king of foraging really is. Level 5 foraging, we're going to go with the Gatherer perk, a chance to pick up 2 forageables instead of 1. 42,655 gold at the end of day number 17. This of course triggers Demetrius to visit our farm. We're going to go with the Batcave. I find this to be the best choice when it comes to completing the community centre, as the bats can sometimes find items such as oranges and peaches that can speed up in-game progression. It was time to visit Clint here and upgrade our tool. We're going to start with the pickaxe. I find that the regular pickaxe was really slowing me down in the later levels of the mines. A copper pickaxe should make life a little bit more manageable for us. The next day, it was just back to good old foraging. I also went down to the beach. There was lots of stuff to pick up on the beach. Now I could pick up the clams and sell those no problem because there's not living in the clams. I do decide to pick up the other items that were labelled as fish, but I end up throwing all those into the water. I just wanted the foraging XP. I spent a great deal of day today just clearing more space on the farm because these farm patches were going to get way bigger over the next few days, especially when we go into summer and especially when we go into fall. So it's best to clear the farm of all resources as quickly as possible to make the most out of your farm space. So the next day we're going to visit Clint again. We're going to get our copper pickaxe back from him. This is going to make mining much easier. It's time to upgrade more tools. We're going to go with a copper pickaxe upgrade so we can cut down those trees much faster. I'm also going to spend a lot of money today on kale seeds. I'm going to purchase 200 in total, plant those down in the farm. Now that will take a considerable amount of time to water on a daily basis, but that will pay off when it comes to harvesting those kales 6 days from now. So we're going to spend a great deal of time today hoeing up the ground, getting it ready for all these lovely kale seeds. This massive farming endeavour will require lots of energy. Thankfully, we had lots of seeds from chopping down trees to make field snacks, and these are absolutely magnificent for restoring energy, allowing me to continue on with cutting down trees and watering crops every single day. On the 21st of spring, look at all these lovely forageables we get to collect. Using all these forageables, I was able to make 270 wild spring seeds, and they will all be converted into tea saplings eventually. So I purchased a summer spangle today. I also grabbed the fairy rose, and I also grabbed the tulip as well because I needed all those for community centre bundles. All of the original fish tank bundles have been replaced with vegan approved bundles. The flower bundles is just one example. To my surprise, I was not expecting 5 warp totems to the desert for completing that bundle. This meant I could bypass spending all my money to unlock the bus to get starfruit at the end of spring and just use a warp totem instead, so I could get a lot more starfruit than usual. So it was a really nice tactic I could implement there by getting that desert warp totem. When I got to floor 87 in the mines, it was an ambushed floor. I didn't have enough stone on me to make a staircase, so unfortunately I had to leave. But at the end of the day, I did make almost 42,000 gold. With all that money at my disposal, I decided to purchase the last of the backpack upgrades, increasing my inventory to 36 slots. I also got my copper axe off Clint. This would make cutting down trees a lot more efficient for me. It was also time to get Clint to break open all of these geodes, as there was a bundle in the community centre called the Sparkly Bundle, and I needed items that you can only get from geodes to complete that bundle. 4 rare mineral items were required. This would prove to be one of the more challenging bundles to complete in the game, as I was at the mercy of RNG. I did however get an ocean stone. That was one of the 4 items needed. The rest of the minerals I got I could donate to Gunther. So let's have a look at the fish tank bundle here, the Sparkly Bundle. We needed an ocean stone, a geminite, an aeronite and an alamite. So there were 4 minerals you could only get from geodes to get that bundle done. I decided to not take chances with RNG, purchased some saplings, which would guarantee me an apple, a pomegranate, a peach and an orange come summer and fall, as I needed those for the artisan bundle and a few other bits and bobs. Back on the farm, it was time to use my copper axe to its full effect and get rid of all these tree stumps. Not only did they give me a great amount of XP, but I was also clearing space on the farm. So on floor 97 here, very close to floor 100, I got a little bit greedy and I tried to get a ladder down into the next level before these enemies could catch up and spell my demise. Now I had 2 bats currently on me at the moment. I was able to evade them mostly, but when they swarmed like this, damage was inevitable. The problem here was the debuff I got off one of the slimes. They slowed me down, so my maneuverability literally went from 100 to 0, and then I was picked off quite easily. As a result, I lost 5,000 gold and lots of valuable items. The biggest pain was the 35 gold ore that I lost, as I really needed that to make gold bars to make sprinklers. Level 5 mining though, I'm going to go with the miner perk plus 1 ore per vein. That's a no-brainer upgrade for me, as I need to make lots and lots of sprinklers over the next few days. If I can automate the farm come summertime with the sprinklers, I'll be off to a great start. So I went to the flower dance festival today. I picked up the 10 dandelions and the 10 daffodils because I needed those to make more spring wild seeds. I also picked up the rare crow as well because it looked really cool. There was only one NPC that would be my dance partner at this event, and that was of course Hayley, as I was working on Hayley over the past couple of weeks in terms of doing quests and giving her gifts so that we can make this flower dance happen. The reason why I worked with Hayley is because she's one of the easiest to get up to 4 hearts before the event, because her birthday happens before the event, and giving her a daffodil is always an easy way to get friendship points. Level 7 foraging was a great way to end that day with getting the tree fertilizer. I also got the copper watering can off Clint, but we weren't finished there. It was time to get another tool upgraded. It was time to upgrade our pickaxe to a steel pickaxe, which would make life a lot easier for us back down in the mines. We spent the rest of the day cutting down trees, as I needed to make even more farm space, and I also needed lots and lots of wood to make more tea saplings and to make other bits and bobs that we need later. The next day, it was time to harvest the last batch of strawberries. There was also just one day left on the kale, so we were going to get a mega harvest the day after this. It's also worth noting that I visit a travelling cart every single time she becomes available, because I needed items from her that you couldn't get in year 1. A lot of the community centre bundles that replaced the fish tank bundles were recipes you could only learn in year 2, so it was up to the travelling cart and Gus to see if I could complete those bundles in year 1. For the rest of the day, we were cutting down even more trees. I also planted some seeds in the ground here, and we're going to use tree fertilizers to grow those trees up very quickly, and we'll attach tappers to those trees as well to get some early residents. The next day, it was time to harvest all of the kale. Not only were we going to get huge farming XP from this, we're also going to get huge amounts of money. I got the steel pickaxe off Clint. The ball was now rolling for a good, successful year. It was time to upgrade our copper axe to a steel axe also. I got a mushroom floor in 496, I was really happy with this. The purple mushrooms are by far one of the best forageables you can pick up in this game, especially if you get iridium quality purple mushrooms. They are absolutely amazing. We also had to remember that our combat level was still and will always be 0, so we had to make sure that none of these enemies would land attacks on us, as we could die very quickly. I decided to go all the way down to the bottom of this spiral floor in the hopes to get something really good out of the crates. Didn't get anything great, but also I couldn't find any staircases. It was hard enough finding a staircase in the spiral floor, but having enemies like this follow you around and take bits of your health off every few seconds was extra challenging. I would like nothing more than to take out my obsidian edge and end this enemy within a few swings, but I had to stick to the rules, and eventually I just decided to make a staircase and get down to floor 100 because just luck wasn't on my side today. But when I did get to floor 100, I was able to pick up the lovely star drop. This is our first star drop of the run, and this not only replenishes our energy to max, but it also increases our maximum energy, meaning we can do a lot more in the day that is given to us without the need for taking food to replenish energy. Level 6 farming rewards us with the quality sprinkler. That's an absolute game changer for us, and we will be making hundreds and hundreds of quality sprinklers in this challenge. I also got 30,000 gold there on the 27th of spring for selling all of that kale that we planted on the farm. The next day was all about farm management on our lovely vegan farm, and we start by getting rid of all of these giant stone nodes. Now, we didn't get any mining experience for getting rid of these nodes, but what we did get was 15 stone a pop, which was really good for making future staircases and completing bundles such as this. The construction bundle was now completed. The reward was a charcoal kennel, a very nice item indeed if we needed coal later on. It was time to make another staircase, as floor 109 was an ambush floor. This got us down to floor 110, and the reward were fabulous space boots, and these would more than likely be the best boots that we're going to get in the challenge. Plus 4 defense and plus 4 immunity, they were a welcome addition to our character. The more defense we had, the more punishment we could take from enemies before our character meets his demise. We finally made it down to floor 120. We got the skull key. This meant we could now do skull cavern runs, but we needed to prepare properly for skull cavern runs. Because we couldn't slay enemies, we had to rely on staircase spamming in the skull cavern for successful runs, and to farm levels in the skull cavern that don't have any high mobility enemies, such as the serpents for example, or the iridium bats. So I got my steel axe off Clint today. Super happy with that. I can now access secret woods. Because it was the first day of summer, it was time to use one of the 5 warp totems to the desert, and we're going to visit Sandy here, and we're going to use all our money to buy starfruit seeds. Now a starfruit seed costs 400 gold a pop. These seeds, however, are the key to reaching millions of gold by the end of year 1. It's one of the most profitable crops in the game, especially if you convert it into starfruit wine, which we will be doing of course in this challenge. So we're going to spend a great deal of time today planting all of our starfruit seeds on the farm. We also set up our sprinklers, and because we have the watering can here now, the copper one, it doesn't take a whole lot of time to actually water up all the farm. The steel axe means that we can get a lot more foraging XP on a daily basis, because we can start with the logs on the farm. Now these won't respawn, but we can get into the secret woods later on, and we can farm the tree stumps in there every single day. Each tree stump yields 25 foraging XP, and that's actually a fair bit of XP every single day if you cut down all of the tree stumps in the secret woods. So you can actually get level 10 foraging a lot sooner rather than later if you come in here every single day and just cut these down. Later on in the day, we visit the community centre, and we're going to donate a grape, a sweet pea and a spice berry to be rewarded with 30 summer seeds that we can plant straight back into the farm, and we can then harvest those, rinse and repeat for tons of summer forageables later on in the video. I was smelting copper bars today because I needed to make tappers to put on trees to get back resins. I also needed copper bars to make kegs, and I ended up making loads of kegs later on in the video. The Bat Cave produced some really nice forageables. They were small little game changers, the pomegranate being one of course. I also made some tappers that I could put on my fully grown trees. I had 2 of each tree type, which would generate 2 maple syrups, 2 pine tars and 2 oak resins every couple of days. It was time to go into the crafts room. The exotic foraging bundle could now be completed thanks to the few bits and bobs I also got in the desert. The coconut and the cactus came in super handy for that. 5 autumn bounties as a reward. I could sell those no problem. Back to the help wanted quest. We got a quest off Demetrius to get a sweet pea. We of course obliged because we needed to get Demetrius to 3 hearts to learn the fried mushroom recipe, because one of the community centre bundles required a fried mushroom to complete, so we had to get friendly with Demetrius. He was on 2 hearts out of 10 at the moment. We also went to Clint. It was time to upgrade more tools. We're going to go with the copper hoe this time. The hoe will come in super handy later on, especially when it gets fully upgraded. Back down into the mines, and we were farming copper. We're also farming stone. We're also farming fibres. So every resource that the lower section of the mines has on hand, we needed for various projects that were happening on the farm, especially stone for staircases later on. Also needed stone for tree fertilizers. The success of this challenge will largely come down to how much of the basic resources can be accumulated. That's why it's super important to upgrade your tools as early as possible, so you can make the most of your day. You can make the most of the time you are given for each day. If you treat each day like a separate project, generally you will do very well by the end of the year when it comes to making millions of gold, instead of making thousands or just mere hundreds of thousands of gold. So we're on floor 81 now today, and we're going to farm this floor for the whole day, and we're farming it for fibre, but if we do see other valuable minerals, we'll grab those as well. The next day, I managed to make over 31 tappers, and I also made some tree fertilizers as well, 66 tree fertilizers in total. I do end up making a lot more because I want to make massive tree farms where I'm going to get tons and tons of oak resins every couple of days, and then I'll be able to make loads of cakes provided I have the copper and the wood to make that happen. Today was also Travelling Cart Merchant Day, so like most days when the merchant turns up, we go and check the inventory. This time we got super lucky. The travelling cart had a poppy seed muffin. We needed this for one of the community centre bundles, so I purchased that without hesitation. It was then time to make another huge tree farm. Now this tree farm would be set up with some tappers, but I do end up just using it primarily for wood generation. I got an orange today. It was super lucky. It was also Gus's birthday. He loves oranges, so I was going to get lots of friendship points with Gus. I also got my copper hoe today as well. I was super happy with that. The main reason we're accumulating friendship points with Gus is because we need to get him to 7 hearts to learn the cranberry sauce recipe, which we need for the community centre. Gus had fried mushrooms on him today. This was marvellous. This meant we didn't have to get Demetrius to 3 hearts. We could just buy the fried mushroom off Gus and put that into the community centre. So this is the snacks bundle. I had 2 items in there now at the moment, the hash browns and I had the fried eggs, just needed the roasted hazelnuts and the tortilla. So I was back to the mines now today, and I was farming iron ores today because you need iron and copper to make kegs. You also need iron and gold to make quality sprinklers. So there's always a need for metal bars when it comes to serious progression in this game to maximise each season and to make tons of money. So we were off to Pierre. We just picked up a lot of forageables there as well, and I had to buy a hop starter and I had to buy blueberries. I needed those for community centre bundles. So the great challenge here now was trying to adjust to the new vegan bundles, especially the fish tank, because all of the fish bundles were gone and it was replaced with new bundles, and most of those bundles were actually very challenging. So I had to constantly remind myself of the items I needed and the goals I had to achieve in order to make those bundles complete. I was back to Clint now today. He was breaking open more geodes in the hopes to get those rare minerals for the sparkly bundle, and we were also getting more forageables off the farm. The great thing about summer is that you only need 3 specific summer forageables to make summer wild seeds. That means more tea saplings for you. That's more money in your pocket. So we went back down to the mines today to farm more copper. I was also getting stone as well. The great thing about the starter levels of the mines is that the enemies primarily are very slow, so it's very easy to farm copper without killing anything by accident. I made 10,000 gold just from selling a couple of tea saplings today. That money boost will come in real handy later on. It was back into the bat cave. I was getting more forageables here, and I would check the cave every couple of days to see if it had any items needed for any of the community bundles, and I managed to pick up 2 apples. I was super happy with that. I also made a preserve jar because I needed a jelly for one of the community centre bundles as well. So I put a cauliflower into the luau here. Governor was super happy with that. Main reason I went to the luau was because it's a great event to increase friendship points with a lot of the NPCs in the game. On the 12th of summer, look at my fabulous tree farm. It was huge. Now I would use tappers for some of these trees, but the rest I would just cut down. This would yield lots of foraging XP, but also yield lots of wood. Got a tortilla today after travelling cart. Super happy with that. Just needed the roasted hazelnuts to complete one more bundle in the community centre. So it was all down to RNG if those roasted hazelnuts would turn up for me or not. Back down into the mines, of course. We're farming the usual resources, also avoiding all of the enemies that spawn in. There's a lot of enemies on this floor, so I just left and rinsed and repeated until I had enough resources then to make lots of copper bars so I can make even more tappers. 23 tappers today. I did need a lot more, however, but then I thought about it and I decided to just tap a handful of trees and cut down the rest later on. I didn't need hundreds and hundreds of pine tars every couple of days. We're back to cutting down more trees, increasing our foraging skill. The sooner we get that to level 10, the better. Gave Gus a diamond today. Got him up to 4 hearts now out of 10. Need to get him to 7 though to get that cranberry sauce. There's always a chance I can get the cranberry sauce elsewhere. If that happens, I don't have to work on him anymore in terms of friendship. Clint was breaking open more geodes for us today. We were fortunate enough to get one more item we needed for the sparkly bundle. 2 items to go. I also got level 8 farming. I could finally make the keg, so it was time to farm for that. So I got a jelly today too that was needed for the artisan bundle. Look at all our lovely starfruit today that was ready to be harvested, along with lots of oak resins. So things were finally starting to look up for us, and the money was going to pour in soon enough. I also picked up melons today too, but I needed 5 gold star melons, so I made a decision. Instead of selling all this starfruit and purchasing even more starfruit to turn that into starfruit wine, I decided to keep this starfruit, convert these starfruits into starfruit wine, and just use the money I have to purchase lots and lots of melons. So what I've done here now is I purchased 178 melons, and that would ensure that I would get at least 5 gold star melons, so I could finish off the quality bundle inside of the community centre when it comes to the crops. So the bathhouse area opened up. There was lots of resources to be had up here, including fibre, stone and wood. So I drained the area of resources today. I also went to Robin and I decided to purchase tons of wood off Robin just to speed up my cake production. There's no harm in spending money on basic resources if you're going to end up with tons of profits in the near future. So I used up all my money on wood. I'm going to put all these kegs down around the farm. I do get a shed eventually, but for now I just put the kegs kind of all over the place. I made 18 tea saplings today because I needed a burst of cash to get more progression goals done. I also sold the rest of my summer seeds as well because I'm going to get way more summer seeds in the next couple of days, and I was going to get an extra few thousand gold for those. So the next day it was time to harvest all of these lovely forageables. Look at all of the forage I was getting. This was going to bring me up to foraging level 9, but it was going to take a lot of foraging to get that foraging level 10. There's a huge difference between getting foraging 1 to 9 to going from 9 to 10. Massive XP was required. So I just needed 2 more items here now for the sparkly bundle, the gemonite and the aeronite. So hopefully Clint will produce those for me eventually. I just needed the roasted hazelnuts for the snacks bundle as well, so hopefully that would turn up sooner rather than later, and we could get that bundle completed. The next bundle up was the chef's bundle. That bundle was easy enough. If I couldn't get a tortilla off any of the merchants, I could just make one using corn. All I had to do was grow some corn and upgrade the house, and I was good to go with that one. The next bundle was the enchanter's bundle. That was another easy one. The big challenge would have been the pomegranate, but I did purchase a pomegranate tree, so I would be guaranteed pomegranates in the next couple of weeks, no problem. The next day yielded tons of sunflowers. The best thing about sunflowers is that you can get them from the Jojo Mart super cheap, but also when you harvest a sunflower, there's a good chance that you'll drop a sunflower seed and you can plant that straight back into the ground. So I purchased tons of salads off Gus today. We are now preparing for a skull cavern run. Lots of healables will be needed for that. It was also time to upgrade our pickaxe to a gold pickaxe just to make the skull cavern a little bit more forgiving. We also spent the rest of the day cutting down trees, getting more wood because we needed to make more kegs and potentially more tappers if we wanted to go down the tapper route. So we were smelting gold ores into gold bars today. I wanted to make a lot more sprinklers, especially come fall when we're going to end up with thousands of crops. Level 10 farming, we're going to go with artisan so we can get a lot more money for selling artisan products such as wine. So we're going to start hoeing up the ground today. We're going to prep it for even more crops. I decided to go with 113 poppies today because the poppies look really nice. That was more or less it. There wasn't any other kind of tactical reason as to why I went with poppies. I just wanted poppies. We went back to Clint now today. I got my gold pickaxe. We were finished with Clint for the moment because I only had 2600 gold, so I didn't have a whole lot of money to upgrade any more tools. So I gave Gus another diamond today that put him up to 5 hearts. I also spoke to him every day as well because you get extra friendship points for speaking to the NPCs every single day. So I decided to cut down a lot of these trees because I figured I wasn't going to set them all up with tappers. Instead, I really needed the wood to make more cakes, so I'm going to cut down an absolute enormous amount of trees today. I also sold some of the starfruits up here because I really needed money to get more items needed for the good skull cavern run. So I was back to Robin, but this time it was to buy stone because I needed to make tons of staircases to have a really good go at the skull cavern. Because I couldn't kill enemies because of the rules I have imposed upon myself, skull cavern would be extremely hard, especially if you get swarmed by serpents or by iridium bats. You know, those enemies are very hard to shake off, especially if you can't actually kill them. So I managed to make a good few staircases today, but we were still a good ways off doing a skull cavern run because I wanted to go in with around 100 staircases just to give myself a very good chance to get lots of iridium ores and lots of other goodies. So my first batch of starfruit wines today would be sold straight away because I wanted to get extra money to buy more stone off Robin so I could make more staircases for the good skull cavern run. I collected all of my oak resins today from the tappers as well. They would all go towards future cakes. I also checked out the travelling cart today. She had a yam. Needed that for the bundles, so I purchased that off her. She also had a cranberry sauce. I was over the moon with this. I now didn't have to generate 7 hearts with Gus, because I could just buy the cranberry sauce there and then. So I was sorted for another community centre bundle. So I sold all of the starfruit wines to Pierre there now, 56,000 gold, good to go. Went back to Robin, and I bought even more stone off Robin. I'd love to know Robin's secret for accumulating infinite amounts of stone. Maybe she uses deconstructors with jades and she'll just tell us about it. Today was the day, it was the Big Skull Cavern Challenge. It was a great luck day. We also had lots of staircases. So the Skull Cavern was a ferociously hard place because we couldn't kill enemies. The serpent here was just mad to swing out of our necks and ruin our day. But we weren't going to let that happen. Because I had so much salad, I could just spam eat that, defend myself against the serpent. But I had to be careful because if I defended myself too much, the serpent could potentially die. So if push came to shove, I would just plug a staircase on the ground and just go to the next floor and hope for the best. So when I got down to floor 51 here now, I managed to get some iridium bars. I was super happy with that. These treasure floors always seem to have some extra luck that the other floors don't have, so it's always worth mining open the nodes around the treasure chest to see if you're lucky enough to get a hole. So I got an ambush room here, dropped the staircase straight away, made it down to floor 72, I got 3 more iridium bars, that's 6 iridium bars in total. Now I came across a huge cluster of gold ores here. Too good to pass up. Gold was needed for sprinklers, so all the gold I could get, the better. I picked up an auto grabber as well on floor 100. Now because we're not using animals in this run, the auto grabber was completely useless. I just thrown that into the bin. At the end of our Skull Cavern run, we came out with a huge haul, 2 prismatic shards, 150 iridium ores. We also got 6 iridium bars, 4 diamonds, we got lots of geodes, lots of copper, lots of iron, lots of extra stone. It was a really good run for a first run, so I was super happy with that attempt. The next day, it was time to convert all of our lovely starfruit into starfruit wine. This is going to bring in huge amounts of money. Our fruit trees were now fully set up, so we had a tree generating oranges and another tree generating peaches, so we could harvest those every single day to make extra money. I also got lots of summer forageables there as well, and it was time to go back to the community centre. So I actually had 5 gold star corns, and they slowly accumulated over the course of the summer season, which was great. Putting the peach into the final artisan slot completes the artisan bundle, rewarding us with a cake. I also had some stuff for the fall crops bundle. I had a yam that I got off the travelling cart, so I thrown that in there. Now, I didn't have a corn on me right now, but I come back with corn later on. I also finished off the summer crops bundle, which rewarded me with a quality sprinkler, so we were getting there with the bundles. For the desert bundle, I submitted the cranberry sauce, so I needed a plum pudding, a maple bar and a blackberry cobbler to finish off that bundle. Quite the challenging bundle indeed. I just needed a green tea for the beverages bundle, and I could easily get that from Caroline's sunroom by nabbing 1 tea leaf and putting that into a cake, which will yield a green tea. It was time to convert our lovely iridium ores into iridium bars. They'll sell for 1,000 gold a pop. And it was also time to get Clint to break open all of these geodes that we got from doing the Skull Cavern run. We needed 2 more rare minerals to complete the sparkly bundle. Now I was fortunate enough to get 1 more of the minerals. I just needed the aeronite and I was good to go with that. So out of the prismatic shards that I got from the Skull Cavern run, I gave 1 into Gunther because I had 2 on me. I also managed to get a huge iridium meteor fall on the farm, and I mined it open just for a few extra resources. So I was collecting iridium bars now tonight, and I would sell all those for more money. I made almost 58,000 gold today from selling bits and bobs. I also got 10,000 gold off Mr. Key the next day for making a pass for 25 on my first attempt at the Skull Cavern. So things were looking up for me at the moment. I got more iridium bars today, and it was back to Clint to get our axe upgraded to a gold axe, which would make cutting down trees that much simpler. Because I had so much money on me at the moment, I decided to complete all of the vault bundles. The prizes that I get for some of these would be really nice. So the vegetable medley was a good addition, the fertilizer, the crystallarium. I could not, however, use the lightning rod because bat wings were used in the creation of this item, and as a vegan, we don't support products where animal parts were used to create. So I ended up throwing away the lightning rod. I would have to find an alternative source to get my hands on battery packs if I wanted to make more crystallariums later on. I made almost 31,000 gold by the end of today. This primarily came from the Starfruit wine, which was selling at 3,150 gold. I got a pale ale today from one of our kegs. I decided to give that to Pam because it was an easy quest to do and I'd get some extra money on the side. My poppies were now ready to be harvested, so I'm going to harvest all of these poppies and sell these to Pierre for even more money. On my way to the mines, I noticed Pam beside the bus chilling out, so I gave her the pale ale, had a quick chat about drinking and driving, and it was then a minecart off down to the mines to farm more resources so we could make even more staircases and more kegs to make even more money down the road. So when I come across these mystery nodes, I always mine them up. There's always a chance you can get a diamond from one. That would give you 150 mining XP. It's a great way to level up mining early on in the game. The next day, we were greeted with tons of melons, just begging to be picked up and get sent off to the great beyond. So I spent a great portion of this morning harvesting all these melons. I also got 5 Ghost Star melons as well, so I can put those into the quality community center bundle, completing that bundle. I also purchased tons of wheat as well, just so I don't have to re-hoe huge portions of the land come fall. So I got a preserve jar for completing that bundle. Not a bad prize indeed. I also got my gold axe back off Clint, but we weren't finished there. It was time to upgrade our hoe to a steel hoe, which we needed for the start of fall because we were going to end up buying thousands and thousands of pumpkins to fill up the farm with. Spent the rest of the day just putting down the wheat and doing some farm management, getting prepared for fall that's going to come in soon enough. I made almost 60,000 gold at the end of today. This money primarily came from all of the melons that I picked up. The next day the blueberries were ready to be harvested, so I picked up all those, grabbed the hops, and I was on my way to Cindersap Forest to cut down even more trees, to get more wood, to make more kegs, to make more money. The cycle continues, everybody. We also needed a lot more sprinklers for fall, so I was smelting gold ores into gold bars. I also checked out the travelling cart today. She had a plum pudding. I was super happy with this. I needed the plum pudding for one of the dessert bundles in the community centre. Today was an event day, which is why you see balloons there hanging out of the trees. Not too sure which mod actually does that, but it's one of the many mods you see in my description. I got a steel hoe off Clint today. Super happy with that. It was the last day of summer. And the event today was the Moonlight Jellies, which is a great finish to summer. It's a nice visual effect there before we get into fall. We are now on the first day of fall. This was probably one of the most challenging days in the entirety of the 100-day challenge because I had to hoe up huge amounts of land to plant the thousands of pumpkins that I purchased off Pierre. Now I couldn't actually water all of the pumpkins today. It was just way too many. The best I could do was to hoe up the ground, put down the sprinklers and just plant the pumpkins before the day finished. Despite the fact that I had a steel hoe, it just wasn't enough to get the range that I needed to plant these pumpkins, so I ended up using bombs. The second day of fall was a rainy day, so we start with making some quality sprinklers. The main aim of today is to make enough quality sprinklers to fully automate our pumpkin growing process over the entirety of the season. So we needed to make a lot more quality sprinklers than 7. But we do get there eventually with all of the reserve bars we had in our chest from doing the Skull Cavern run and other regular mining endeavours. Once this was completed, we had a look at the lovely community board. So we had a choice of biome balance and aquatic overpopulation because these quests required fishing, even despite the fact that some fish went to unsustainable levels. Because of our veganism ways, we decided not to fish at all and just leave everything off to the natural cycle of nature. Speaking of natural cycles, I purchased 300 more pumpkin seeds today. We were going to fill up the farm with pumpkins. You can't beat a good pumpkin farm with thousands and thousands of pumpkins. When it comes to fall, pumpkins are by far the most profitable crop you can get your hands on. We could even convert these pumpkins into pumpkin juice, sell those for tons of money. Let's take a quick look at our farm now at the moment. As you can see, we have tons of quality sprinklers put down in the farm. We also have thousands of pumpkin seeds growing. So we went back into the mines today. We were looking for stone, we were looking for gold, we were looking for iron, we were looking for copper. We were looking for everything. But we started with the gold because we needed to make more sprinklers. The next day was all about using the resources we got in the mines to make more quality sprinklers, as there was still large patches of the farm that didn't have quality sprinklers, and I wanted to automate this process as quickly as possible. So I would have to water all these up today, but I did have a decent watering can, so it wouldn't take too long to water up the missing patches. I also made a mistake here with this patch. It was set up incorrectly for the proper placement of quality sprinklers, so I decided to sacrifice just a few pumpkins so I could fix that issue A few pumpkins in the grand scheme of things wouldn't make much of a difference in terms of total profits earned by the end of the year. I also noticed too later on that the bottom layer was also incorrect. I do come back and fix that eventually. So I went back to Clint. It was time to upgrade our axe to an iridium axe. This meant just 3 swings for a full tree breakdown. I haven't checked the back cave in a while, so I went in today to have a gander, and I picked up all the forageables inside, getting more forageable XP that way. I also ran around the map today looking for more forageables that I could pick up, because I was actually really close to level 10 foraging, and I wanted to get level 10 as quickly as possible, just to get those lovely iridium forageables for even more profits. I finished the fall foraging bundle. I got 30 free fall seeds, ready to go, ready to be planted on our lovely farm. So I made a little patch up here just to the left, and I'm going to put all of the forageable seeds here. Now, I didn't set it up with the quality sprinklers properly, so I do actually address that later on when these fall seeds increase in capacity. So for the next couple of days, I'm just going to use my copper watering can and water those up. There's only a small amount there, so it didn't take too much time. I also got a green tea, put that into the beverages bundle. That awarded me with a cake. I was super happy with that. I put a tea leaf into the dye bundle, just needed a red cabbage to finish that bundle off, but the red cabbage was all down to RNG. Hopefully, RNG would be on my side in this challenge, and the travelling cart would have either a red cabbage or a red cabbage seed over the next couple of weeks in the game. So I went back to Clint today, got my iridium axe off Clint. I was super happy with this. It was time to upgrade more tools. We're going to go with an iridium pickaxe this time. This meant I could one-shot all of the nodes in the Skull Cavern. So I visited the desert today to get the forageables to do some hoeing, but also to cut down all of the trees that the desert had to offer, because I really needed a lot more wood. I could have bought wood off Robin, but I wanted to save my money to make even greater profits. I would only buy basic resources if I was desperately stuck. I also wanted to get my foraging to level 10, so cutting down all these trees would contribute to that as well. Went to the secret woods as well today, just to get all those lovely tree stumps. The more hardwood I could accumulate now, the better. Look at all of this lovely starfruit wine. Doesn't seem like a lot, but we are going to get tons of money from selling this. 93,000, almost 100,000 gold. 27 starfruit wines there, that came to 85,000 gold. I was just super happy with that. I had 160,000 gold at the moment. It was time to get Robin to put a shed into the farm, and I'll fill up the shed then with cakes to increase my profits every couple of days thereafter. So I went down to the beach today, primarily just to pick up all of the forageable items to increase my forageable XP. If I picked up any item that stated it was a livable creature or a fish, I just thrown it back into the water because of my veganism ways. Went back to Clint, I got my iridium pickaxe. I was almost finished with the tool upgrades, so I was doing really well in terms of upgrading tools. I had lots of geodes now to give to Clint to break open, in the hopes to get that last mineral I needed for the sparkly bundle. Unfortunately, I did not get the mineral that I so desired. I did, however, get minerals that I could give to Gunther, and get progression done that way. So I had a choice today of Cave Patrol or Pierre's Prime Produce, because I had lots of pumpkins growing on the farm, and because I couldn't actually slay 50 grubs for Clint. Pierre's Prime Produce was the perfect quest for me. That would be an easy money once I pick up all of those lovely pumpkins that will be ready in a couple of days. It was also blackberry season, so I spent a good portion today running around, looting all the bushes, making Linus's life very hard. And I also went up to the bathhouse area as well to get all of the fibre and to cut down all of the trees up here too. I was very close now to level 10 foraging. I was just a few trees away, so I prioritised that today to see if I could max out foraging skill on the 8 of fall. So just a few trees left and that was going to get level 10 foraging. And the best perk in my opinion to take with level 10 foraging is the perk that makes all your forageable items of iridium quality. This is great for 2 reasons. Number 1, because the iridium quality, they sell for a lot more and they give you a lot more health and energy. And number 2, when it comes to inventory management, it's just so much more simplified. So today was the 9th of fall. We start by watering up our lovely forageables. I also gathered enough amaranth here to complete the scythe bundle. I got an oil maker as a reward for this. Super happy with that. Now I didn't actually have a need for the oil maker at the moment. I know you can put truffles into it, but because we're a vegan, we can't use pigs, we can't use truffles. Back down into the mines today. Iron ore was on our list of priorities. Needed iron ores to make iron bars, to make kegs, so I could put more starfruit into the kegs to get more starfruit wine to get more money. Story of our lives, right? Back to Clint, we're breaking open more geodes here now in the hopes to get that Ironite to complete the sparkly bundle. It was a no-go today though. I picked up a berry basket today because I was just running around getting berry bushes, and I came across the basket. I said, you know what, I'll give that to Linus and be a good neighbour. Visited Robin today. It was time for a shed upgrade. We could go with the big shed. 550 wood, 300 stone and 20,000 gold. It was a good investment because it would save space on our farm. Gave Linus the berry basket today. He was super happy. I checked my quest log, but he doesn't actually give you anything for it. Instead, you just get friendship points with Linus. Now, getting friendship points up with Linus early on is actually very good because of the wild bait recipe he can give you. But because we're the vegan, that wouldn't do much for us. So the next day, all of our lovely fall forageables were ready to be harvested. So we're going to get blackberries, we were going to get hazelnuts, we're going to get wild plums, and we were going to get mushrooms. Because we were still in the early days of fall, I decided to redo the patch that I had here for forageables, put down quality sprinklers, and put down more fall seeds. All I needed now to complete the fish tank desert bundle was the blackberry cobbler and the maple bar. Now they are year 2 recipes, but hopefully RNG will be on my side. Just needed the Ironite for the sparkly bundle, and for the underrated bundle, I just needed the holly, which you can get in winter no problem at all. The last bundle then was the snacks bundle, and I just needed the roasted hazelnuts for that one. That's another year 2 recipe, but we might get one from the travelling cart or Gus if we're lucky. Back down into the mines, and today it was gold to make even more sprinklers. The reason why I wanted more sprinklers is because I wanted to have a lot more fall forageables before the season came to an end. I also wanted a lot more sprinklers for winter because we could go the winter foraging route as well, and I would like to end up with thousands of winter forageables before the challenge actually ends. So today we got Clint to break open even more geodes in the hopes to get that Ironite. It just wasn't popping up. So we went off to Gunther, and Gunther was having an absolute field day with our quest to complete the sparkly bundle. We're also getting closer to getting the sword key off Gunther though, so we get down into Krobus, and he actually has some very nice things that we can purchase off him as well. We are back down into the mines today, and the reason why we're going to the mines so much is because we absolutely need all of the basic and the advanced resources the mines has to offer to make the most out of this challenge. So we needed more gold bars to make more sprinklers, and we also needed stone to make more staircases for future Skull Cavern runs. So we got a fairy there that night. That was super lucky. Didn't make a huge difference though, because in the grand scheme of things that would just be 9 or 10 pumpkins. So I spent an absolute ton of money in Robins today on stone, and you can guess why. I wanted to do another Skull Cavern run. So I made 69 staircases there, and I had a few staircases left over from the previous run. So once I got 100 staircases, or close to 100, I'd go in for the go to see how well I would do. I also purchased some status with the rest of my money. That put me down to just 1500 gold, and I spent the rest of the day then just doing some farm management. I also pickaxed up all of the kegs. I was going to put these inside the big shed that Robin had now fully made for me. This was going to make farming all of the lovely starfruit wine every couple of days much easier because it would just be in one place, it would just be inside the shed. So I made 85,000 gold today from selling starfruit wine. Such a huge money maker. So I got some triple shot espressos off of the merchant today. And those triple shot espressos I'm sure don't have milk inside them because I'm a vegan. I made sure of that. Back in the Skull Cavern, things were going as planned. I had food, I had staircases. So despite the fact that I had multiple serpents taking away huge portions of my health, I was in good hands because I could very quickly heal up if I needed to. I just had to make sure that I didn't leave my health go down too fast, too quickly. I got a battery pack out of a barrel today. That actually never happened to me before. I've got knuckle rings out of those barrels. I've got all sorts of minerals out of those barrels. Never got a battery pack, so I don't know how rare that actually is. But because I got the battery pack, I could make a crystallarium, for example. Every time I saw crates or barrels, I would always destroy them in the hopes of getting a lucky ring, because the lucky ring at this stage of the game would be a huge game changer. The more luck that you accumulate coming down into the Skull Cavern, the better items you can actually get, the more treasure rooms you could potentially find. Finding holes like this is also great to get down quickly. Now I only got 3 levels there, but those holes can give up to 15 levels of deep diving, which is amazing. Gold ore was on the priority list. Got a prismatic shard out of a treasure chest here. I was super happy with that. I actually hadn't traded in any prismatic shards yet for the galaxy weapon, and the reason being that it wouldn't make much of a difference in terms of combat because I had to avoid enemies, not attack enemies. I got another auto grabber, I had to destroy that because we weren't going to use any animals in this challenge, so it was just using up a valuable inventory slot. When I got down past the floor 100s, I started getting lots of iridium ores, but at the same time there was a huge increase in iridium bat activity, and because my combat level was 0, I had to be ever so careful to not get hit by those iridium bats, because those iridium bats are one of the hardest hitting enemies in the game. I got a hole there to put me down 15 levels. They're super rare, but it's always so nice when you get holes like that. It just saved me 15 staircases, potentially. I was now at a point in Skull Cavern where I would only activate a staircase to descend the floor if I needed to, if I was being swarmed by enemies. There wasn't much point spamming staircases anymore, because each level now would yield quite a lot of minerals, quite a lot of iridium, iron, copper, gold, you name it. The floors would now spawn those in great number. When I got down to floor 128, I managed to get a crystallarium. I was super happy with this. Floor 136 yielded a prismatic shard, and floor 157 yielded an auto grabber, which I had to destroy because we all know by now we can't use those because of our veganism ways. It was now 140 in the Skull Cavern. I was going to pass out soon. This floor was absolutely marvellous though for iridium ores. Unfortunately, it had not 1 or 2 but 3 iridium bats chasing me down, so I was under a lot of pressure and I had to make a decision. Thankfully, the clock made the decision for me and it passed me out. Level 10 mining, gonna go with blacksmith. Metal bars worth 50% more is an absolute no-brainer for us. It was the 15th of fall. Look at this pumpkin patch of beauty. I took a triple shot espresso for the speed buff just to quickly show you how big it actually was. I also finished Pierre's prime produce, that netted me 2500 gold, and I also sold the rest of the pumpkins to Pierre. In the meantime, it was time to buy another full batch of pumpkins. I had 500,000 gold to spend, but I didn't have the resources on me right now to get more than 1300 pumpkins. It took the majority of the day to plant all these pumpkins, but it is going to be worth it. These pumpkins will be ready to go on the 28th of fall, which is the very last day of fall, and that is going to make me a lot of money. Those pumpkins will be put into kegs so they won't be sold directly to Pierre. It was finally time for the Stardew Valley Fair, and I felt very lucky today. So the first thing to do was to put a great assortment of items into my display there. I'm going to get Lewis to check those out. He should potentially give me first place for that display, and that will give me half of what I need to get the star drop, which is 1000 star tokens. I need 2000 to get the star drop. So I gambled all on green and I lost because it landed on orange, which was very unlucky because normally it lands on green for me all the time. I couldn't do the fishing minigame because of my veganism ways, but there was another minigame I could do. I could do the stink shot minigame. Now this minigame is a game that I never ever do, so I wasn't too great at it. I gave it one go to see how much I would get 60 star tokens for the fair attempt. I gambled those, doubled my profits, 120 star tokens, and lost them all on the next go. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to buy the star tokens using money. You can buy 999 in a single go. So I purchased 2000 star tokens in total. Now it did cost me the bones of like 100,000 gold, but it was worth it because I was going to get a star drop. And I didn't want to spend hours of my life, literally hours of my life, doing the stink shot minigame and hoping for the best when it comes to gambling the star tokens. So it was time to look at the community quests. We had Robin's Resource Rush, Prismatic Jelly. I went with Robin's Resource Rush because I could absolutely cut down trees and accumulate 1000 pieces of wood without any issues with my lovely shiny iridium axe. It only took 3 swings to fully take down the tree and collect all of the wood within. I also got a train visit, which is quite rare. I decided to see what this train had for grabs. For some reason I thought that if I could get to the other side of the train I'd be in a safe spot, but no, the train hit me, I got stuck, and I kept having to eat food to stay alive. So what I'd done here was a bit of a hack. I clicked on the option to eat food, but I didn't select yes or no, and my health stopped going down. So if you ever get stuck with the train, and if you have food on you, this is a great way to survive the train's onslaught. The train is an invincible entity. Don't try what I did and mess around with the train, because you're going to get hurt. After what seemed to be an eternity, because I swear it was one of the longest trains I've ever encountered, I got 2 stone and 2 coal for my efforts. I wasn't very impressed with that, to be honest. But not to worry, things were now looking up. Look at all of these lovely fall forageables ready to be collected. This is the first thing I do on the 18th. It's 6:30 in the morning and I am ready to go. We're going to get all of the lovely fall forageables, make more fall wild seeds. I made 240 in total, and it's only the 18th of fall, so we're going to replant all these. I decided not to make this patch bigger. I was happy enough with the amount of sprinklers I had on the farm, and I was happy enough with the size of that foraging patch. I decided to pay a visit to the beach today to see if there was any forageables I could pick up and sell to make a profit. Most of the forageables were fish related items. Because I had the botanist perk, all of the items that were picked up went to iridium quality. So you could say I was doing the fish a favour where they washed up regular fish, but they went back into the sea iridium quality fish, far superior than their previous states. So I was doing nature a huge advantage by upgrading all of the fish that fell out into the wilderness of land. I went back to the desert today. There's a lot more trees that respawned on the desert, so I cut down all the trees. The pylons were just calling for me. I just couldn't resist it anymore. I knew getting the Galaxy Sword wouldn't make my life easier in the Skull Cavern, but I just felt safer all the same by having it in my inventory. Because I had the gorgeous weapons mod installed into the game, it also looked way cooler than that of the original, in my humble opinion of course. So I got rid of the obsidian edge, and I now had the lovely cool Galaxy Sword. Later on that evening I decided to process all of my hard-earned iridium ores into iridium bars, and because I had the blacksmith perk, I could sell all these to make huge profits. Each bar would sell for 1500 gold a pop. I was going to make an absolute mountain of money by selling all of these iridium bars. I also went back to Gus with lots of geodes for him to open up, praying for the one mineral that I so badly needed, and I got it finally. It popped up, the Aeronite, the last item needed to finish off the sparkly bundle inside the community centre. I went straight up to the community centre, popped it into the sparkly bundle, and the reward that I got was a crystallarium. I was so happy with this reward. Crystallariums are something I really needed because staircases were super important for successful Skull Cavern runs. So I got Clint to upgrade my hoe again, this time to a gold hoe, because I wanted to get it ready for winter when it comes to doing some serious hoe farming. And I'm going to show you some really cool hoe farming techniques now come winter. Bear in mind that this isn't the clay farming hack that you might see people do. This is something different entirely. So we were back in Cindersap Forest, just cutting down more trees, trying to get Robin's resource rush done, and we just done that today. 2500 gold in the bag, and we also get more friendship points with Robin. Not that we needed friendship points, of course. So with all of the wood and resources that I had accumulated, I decided to make 50 kegs in total. I also finished off the fall crops bundle as well by putting the pumpkin and an eggplant in there. This completes the pantry that rewards us with the greenhouse unlock, and the greenhouse is an amazing building that you should get as early as possible. You can put anything you want into a greenhouse. You can put starfruit in there, you can put pumpkins in there, you can put forageables in there, you can put trees in there, you name it, you can grow it in the greenhouse. So I got my gold hoe off Clint today, but we're not finished there. We're going to give him back the hoe and he's going to upgrade it to an iridium hoe. This is going to come in super handy later on for some tactics that I have in order to get more completion done with the game. So I went to Pierre's today, got some pumpkin seeds. I'm going to put those inside the greenhouse, which means they'll grow in winter for me, no problem at all. I had a look at the community quest board today now. We had Gus's famous omelette. That was a no-no because we needed eggs for that. But Robin's project was good to go. She just needed 80 hardwood. That was a no-brainer, of course. So we started that quest, and we can always make some hardwood trees if we need using mahogany seeds. So when I went into the greenhouse now today, I didn't have my hoe to actually plant the crop, so instead I just used the bombs instead. And this is a great use of bombs, especially if you need to hoe huge patches of land within a strict time limit. Bombs are definitely the way to go. I would have had mega bombs, but you need solar essences to make mega bombs, and I couldn't use solar essences because they came from ghosts, and I can't kill monsters to get those. So I made some more quality sprinklers from resources that I got from Skull Cavern and from doing regular mine runs, and I filled up the greenhouse with lovely pumpkin seeds. So it was time to make more tree fertilizers today, and the reason why I made some was to plant mahogany seeds for hardwood trees to ensure that I complete Robin's hardwood resource rush within the time limit that I was given. I got a mini shipping off Pierre for completing his prime produce request for shipping off the 25 Ghost Star pumpkins, so that was a handy dandy item to put into the greenhouse there. So we are smelting more copper bars today. The reason why we're smelting copper bars is because I want to make more kegs. The more kegs I make, the more money I'm going to make with this challenge. back to Pierre, I got my iridium hoe, and we are going to have fantastic fun with this. I didn't have enough artifacts gathered to get the sword key to get down to Krobus, so we're going to use the hoe to go artifact farming. So we're going to take the minecart to the mines right now, and all of these dirt patches we see in the mines, we're going to hold those up to see if we can get some artifacts. The rusty cog is one item you can get. We can also get lots of dwarf items. We can get the dwarf scrolls. We can also get the dwarf helmet. We can get the dwarf computer. We can also get items such as the strange dolls. There's loads of things you can get from hoeing up the ground, including hundreds and hundreds of cave carrots. I end up with hundreds, if not thousands, of cave carrots when it comes to the amount of hoeing that I was doing today. The only thing we have to watch out for are the bugs with the 1 HP. You can actually kill them with the hoe if you hit them, so we had to be really careful with that. So after donating those extra artifacts into Gunther, I was hoping that would be enough to get the key to the sewers, so we can go down, talk to Krobus and get the star drop. So I went down into the midsection now today and I got the dwarf gadget. I actually called it the dwarf computer, it's actually called a dwarf gadget. But that was the last item I actually needed in order to get access to the sewers. The dust sprites were not letting up. I couldn't actually hoe properly in this area because there was so many dust sprites. So after a few attempts I decided to just leave it, because either I would have ended up getting killed or the dust sprite would have ended up getting killed from the hoe. I sold 98 cave cards today, 25 gold a pop. I made 2,450 gold. Gunther visited me the next day. He was going to give me the key to the sewers, so we could now go down, make friends with Krobus and get a lovely star drop off him. I also made a lot more fall wild seeds today, 260 in total. I was going to turn those into sea saplings and sell those for extra profit. I also went to the secret woods today with my sweet chamberry, and I'm going to get a star drop from this lovely statue. So I'm going to get 2 star drops today, one from the statue here, and we're also going to get one from Krobus when we go down and visit him in the sewers. Speaking of which, let's talk to lovely Krobus right now. Krobus also has other high luxury items that we can get too, such as the return scepter. He also sells iridium sprinklers every single Friday. He also sells solar and void essences. But I didn't actually purchase those because they come from monsters, because they come from technically animals, and because we're a vegan, I deemed that it wouldn't be appropriate to purchase items like that for this specific challenge. So it was time to cut down all of the hardwood trees today, and I was going to get over 80 hardwood easily from doing this. Give that to Robin. That was another quest complete, 2,000 gold in the bag. More friendship points at Robin, and she would give us a really good recipe as well going forward. I also went to the Halloween event, picked up the golden pumpkin. I don't actually end up using this. To be honest, I put it in the chest and I forget about it. It's now the last day of fall, and look at our lovely pumpkin patches. It is a thing of beauty. 1,300 pumpkins is what you see before you. It's going to take us the whole day to harvest those. What are we going to do with the pumpkins? Why, we're going to put them all into cakes. We're going to get back pumpkin juice, and that's going to sell for loads of money. It doesn't sell as good as the star fruit, but it's still quite profitable. So today I woke up to lovely jades popping out of the crystallariums. It's now the 1st of winter, so we're definitely getting there with the challenge. The first thing on our list was to get items to complete bundles as quickly as possible, and the holly would see to it that another bundle will be completed. The crocus also helps when it comes to the winter foraging bundle. It was Krobus' birthday today. Krobus actually loves wild horse radishes, but I didn't keep any from spring, so I just gave him an iridium bar instead. Today I had a choice of aquatic overpopulation and a curious substance. I couldn't do either quests because it would be against our veganism ways, so we just left the community board altogether. Went back to Clint, got the steel watering can. Because we're going for all the tool upgrades, we might as well just go all the way with it because we had the money to do so, and we'll just upgrade that to the gold watering can. Went down to the beach today. Because it was winter, if we use our iridium hoe, we won't get a whole lot of clay. There's actually a really good chance we get lots of snow yams and winter roots using this technique. Now there is a very specific technique you can use. It's called the clay farming technique to actually get a lot more out of it. But we don't use any hacks when it comes to our 100-day videos, so we just hoed up huge portions of the ground instead, hoping for the best results. So that was the underrated bundle finished. The reward was an iridium sprinkler. Because we were in the winter season, I didn't have a huge use for that sprinkler, so I just ended up selling it. I also finished off the winter foraging bundle, and that completed another room in the community centre. This would unlock the quarry for us, so we could now get all of the resources that the quarry had, and we could also go into the quarry cave and get the goodies inside there as well. But before I could do anything else, I had to make use of the winter foraging seeds that I got, so I ended up hoeing up some of the ground there on the farm to plant those. The next day I went down to the quarry and I ended up mining every single node the quarry has to offer, and I also ended up cutting down all the trees in here eventually as well because it was free wood for the taking. So it was quite a challenge to get through the quarry cave here without killing any of the haunted skulls. I was being swarmed at the moment. Thankfully I had an iridium pickaxe, so it only took one swing to get rid of some of those nodes to get up into the prize area where I could finally get this golden scythe. I just had to click on the statue one more time and it would teleport me back to the entrance of the mines where I was safe and sound. Went back to Clint now today. I got my gold watering can off him, but we weren't finished with Clint just yet. It was time to upgrade to the iridium watering can. Once I left Clint's, I decided to check on the bat cave just to see how much forageables had accumulated, and to my surprise there was actually quite the number of forageables to collect. The great thing about the botanist perk is that each of these forageables I picked up were of iridium quality. So I totally forgot to get the magnifying glass on the first day of winter, so I ended up getting it now by just clicking on the bush there. Krobus was hiding behind the bush, so he gives us the magnifying glass so we can now get secret notes. I checked out the travelling cart today. She had a battery pack for 1500 gold. I purchased that straight away because that would allow me to make another crystallarium to increase my jades. I also went to Gunther today and just handed in some more artifacts that I had lying around the farm. Some of the rewards you can get from Gunther are totally overpowered, including a magic rock candy. I was back to Clint now today where we got the iridium watering can. We weren't finished there though. Because we had all the other tools upgraded, we might as well upgrade our trash can as well and upgrade that to an iridium quality trash can. Back to our big shed today. We were going to harvest all of these lovely pumpkin juices, sell those for loads of money. Then it was back to Robin to construct another structure. The structure this time we were going for was another shed. I wanted 2 big sheds on the farm, filled up to the top with cakes, just so I can get through all of those pumpkins that I harvested at the end of the fall, turn them all into pumpkin juices, and maximise profits for the end of the challenge. Speaking of profits, I was farming floor 81 in the mines today to get tons and tons of fibre. If I saw minerals like jades, diamonds, rubies for example, I grabbed those as well because you could trade those in for some decent stuff inside the desert, especially the jades for staircases. Speaking of staircases, our crystallariums inside our regular home were doing quite well, and every few days I was getting 4 new jades, which meant I could get 4 fresh staircases after the desert trader on a Sunday. I was back to Clint to upgrade more trash cans. But before I upgraded to the next trash can tier, I purchased a full stack of coal because I was struggling with coal for quite some time, and because I couldn't kill dust sprites and farm coal, I was finding it really hard to accumulate lots of coal. But because I had so much money, I said, you know what, no harm in purchasing a full stack of coal, because for the rest of the challenge I would be able to process all of the minerals I had from doing Skull Cavern and regular mine runs into bars. I could then use those bars then to make other items that were greatly needed, for example cakes. So today was the Festival of Ice, and I decided to go to the event today just to have a look to see what the merchants had on offer. There was a cranberry sauce, a stuffing and a pumpkin soup. None of these items would help me with the community centre bundles. I decided not to pull up any fish during the event because of my veganism ways, so Willie won instead with 5 fish that he caught. Not to worry though, because the next day yielded great results, where I was able to get my first batch of winter forageables. I was getting snow yams, crystal fruit, crocuses and winter roots, all ready to be converted straight back into winter wild seeds. They'll be planted right back at the farm again. The goal in winter was to fill up the farm with as many winter wild seeds as possible to make it look really nice at the end of the year, but also to make huge profits before our challenge ends. We were also processing a lot more pumpkins into pumpkin juices, and those pumpkin juices were currently being accumulated in a chest, and eventually I ended up selling all of the pumpkin juices at the end of the challenge to see how much money we can make from it. So for now, don't expect to see any sort of great gains when it comes to money. So I got a quest offline as community cleanup, and I decided to do this quest because I just had to fish up trash from the water. If I got a fish catch, I could just cancel it and try again until I got trash. So I had to get a fishing rod off Willie, and I felt a bit silly for throwing away the first one, but I just spent 25 gold for a training rod. This would easily do the job when it comes to getting trash from the waters. Unfortunately, I had to do the fishing tutorial before I could fish for real, so when I pulled up the sunfish, I turned it back into the water straight away. And I'm pretty sure that fish survived. Now I could just fish up trash. If I got any sort of a fish pull, I can just cancel that request, put the rod into the water again, and hope to get trash in that fish. So it took me the whole day to get that done. The next day, I managed to complete the quest. 500 gold in the bag, absolutely amazing. But that's not the real prize. The real prize is the recipe Linus will give us the next day. Back to Robin, get the big shed upgrade, and we're going to fill that shed up with kegs when it's fully built. I also decided to get rid of all the tappers down here that were generating pine tars and just get the wood instead so I can make more kegs that way. I got the fiber seeds off Linus the next day. I was super happy with those. Because I could now plant fiber seeds, this was going to get me back thousands of fiber. I could use this to make tons of tea saplings and sell those to make tons of money. Great thing about fiber seeds, they don't require watering. They're just so overpowered. So I made 47 more kegs today. That's going to go inside the shed. That means more profits for us. I also made a huge tree farm at the bottom left side of the farm here. This was going to bring in thousands of wood when all those trees fully grow. Tree fertilizer will of course work in winter, which is why it's also so overpowered. So we're processing our pumpkins again today. We're getting back more pumpkin juice. So I paid a visit to Robin's today, but not to purchase a shed or a big shed. It was to get his stables. We're going to put that into the farm, and it's going to be very interesting to see what kind of amount we're going to get from that a few days from now. So we were processing more bars, ran back to Clint, got the steel trash can. We're going to upgrade that to the gold trash can, and eventually in a couple of days from now, we'll upgrade that to the iridium trash can. I also visited the desert merchant today, and we're going to get a lot more staircases. We're also going to attempt a skull cavern run very soon. I'd like to do one more run before the challenge ends to see how well we can do. Especially with all of our newly required resources, I have a lot more money, I can buy a lot more stone, I can make a lot more staircases. Our pumpkins in the greenhouse are now ready, so we're going to harvest all these pumpkins, and we're going to try our best to process all of these into pumpkin juices as well before we get to the 28th of winter. So it was time to name our horse/wolf today. We're going to go with Veggie Wolf, and he is going to be the very first vegetarian wolf to walk the earth. In my opinion, of course. I don't know if other people have tried it, but this wolf is going to live on vegetables. Let's go, Veggie Wolf. So because I now have a mount, I can now travel around Stardew Valley a lot faster. This makes it a lot easier to go and collect forageables. Now that I reflect upon the mount, normally I get the mount at the very end of a challenge, but for future challenges, I might decide to get the mount a lot earlier if possible, just so I can get around faster and do more things. So I purchased a painting of the famous Lupini today. I also had a look at the travelling cart merchant to see if she had any items that I needed for the community centre. She hadn't. I also visited the mermaid show and I had a great time, and then I headed off home. It was time for day number 16 of winter. This is day 100, but we're not going to end the challenge here. I'm actually going to play through the whole year of this game. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I've received a lot of comments, a lot of feedback from my subscriber base requesting that I play through the whole year. So from now on, all of these 100-day challenges will be an actual full year of gameplay. They will still be called 100-day challenges just for the YouTube algorithm. So I watered up tons of winter forageables today, and I also visited the famous painted Rapini again, and I got the portrait of a mermaid. We also checked a travelling cart merchant to see if she had anything we needed for the community centre, and my fingers were crossed for something, anything that would allow me to complete a bundle, but she had nothing on her at the moment. So we headed off home, and the next day we were processing more pumpkins into pumpkin juices. So we had one more night of the night market. Fingers crossed we will get an item that we need for the community centre. I had a look at the community quests today, didn't choose any of them because they were against our veganism ways. I did go back to the night market, got the Solar Kingdom painting of the famous Rapini, and I had a look at the merchants to see if they had anything that I needed. They actually hadn't. I did purchase a rare crow though for 5,000 because I just wanted to purchase something, you know, just for showing up at the event. I also got Robin to upgrade my house to the 2nd tier house. Main reason for this was I had a lot of items accumulated over the past 3 seasons, and I needed a bigger house to store those items in, especially the paintings. So I got Clint to do another trash can upgrade there. And on the 18th of winter, because I didn't want to cut down all of the trees because there were so many, I just used what little bombs I had, and I blew half the forest away, and I would end up using my axe then to cut down the rest of the trees, saving me a ton of time and resources. So all of the fibre seeds had fully grown today into fully fledged fibre crops. I got 1,415 fibre from those crops, plus tons of mixed seeds as well. which would allow me to make even more fibre seeds, so I could replant those down and get even more fibre a few days from now. I'm at 130 tea saplings because I had so much fibre accumulated. That was going to get me a huge amount of money. So to make the fibre seeds I needed mixed seeds, sap and clay. I had tons of clay from using my iridium hoe down in the mines and on the beach. I had tons of sap from cutting down trees. The only thing that was holding me back was the mixed seeds. As far as I know, there isn't any great way to mass accumulate mixed seeds in this game. So it was Evelyn's birthday today and I was feeling very gifty, so I gave her a diamond because in all fairness, Evelyn deserves it. She's an awesome woman. Then me and Veggie Wolf went roaming around Stardew Valley looking for forageables to pick up so we can increase our foraging space on our farm. So it was time to organise our house today because it was now the second tier house. It was a little bit bigger. So I was moving around a few bits of furniture, putting the kegs just opposite the bed there, just making use of the space. Because it was Sunday, I visited the desert and I managed to get some more staircases. I also purchased some bombs using quartz that I had. And I also went to Gus and I purchased some salads. It was time for a new Skull Cavern run. Let's see how well we can do. When I got to floor 37, I got a red slime egg. The slime eggs sell for really nice cash, especially early on. But when I got to floor 69, I got 15 red cabbage seeds. And because it was the 22nd, I knew if I planted the seed today using a deluxe bee grow, I could harvest it on the 28th of winter, finishing off the dye bundle before this year was out, before the challenge concluded. So that was a no-brainer. So I decided to spam my staircases just to see what other treasure floors I could get before leaving and planting that seed. I got a crystallarium, energy tonics, I got iridium sprinklers. I then left, planted the red cabbage. I had some deluxe bee grows lying around the place, so I just planted one. 6 days for it to fully grow, which was perfect. That would be done by the 28th of winter. That was the dye bundle, more or less in the bag. So today is now the 23rd of winter. We're almost finished the challenge, and this is what our farm looks like at the moment. As we can see, we have got hundreds of winter forageables ready to be collected. So I ended up making over 1,000 winter wild seeds from collecting all of those crops. That is the power of foraging in this game, and it's just so profitable. Now, you're never going to beat the farming profession, you know, when it comes to starfruit and pumpkins, but foraging is a great profession to get you those quick bursts of cash if you need it. So I made more tea saplings after that. I'm going to sell those for even more money, and we're back to processing our pumpkins into pumpkin juices. I have 2 sheds filled up the top with kegs. I've got pumpkin juice coming out my ears. It's going to be very interesting to see what we make on the last or second last day and we sell those juices. I did make a lot of money for tea saplings that day, put me back up to 430,000 gold. Today was another day where we couldn't do any community quests because of our veganism ways. It was a choice between the omelets and killing monsters for the wizard, so we couldn't do any of that. I did, however, go to Robin, get another house upgrade, because why not? I had the resources, I had the money. Let's give Robin some work. Went down to floor 81 in the mines today. I wanted to farm more fibre to make more tea saplings. So today it was the event of the Winter Star. Evelyn was the person I had to gift, gave her a tulip. I was trying to get a diamond for her, but I couldn't find one. Thankfully, I had a tulip hanging around in a chest, and she loves those. Alex was my secret gift giver. He gave me some wine. I was actually really happy with that, and I could sell the wine using the artisan perk to get some money that way as well. It was time to harvest all of the lovely fibre today. I got over 1,000 again, tons of fibre. Went into the bat cave, cleared it out, picked up all of the forageables it had, made more tea saplings because I had just so much fibre lying around the place, and I managed to process almost all of the pumpkins into pumpkin juice, and there was about 100-200 pumpkins left over. If I made more kegs, I could have got through them, but I processed the great majority of pumpkins, so I was kind of happy with that. It was now time to sell literally everything that I had to see how much money I could end this challenge with. So I ended up selling all of the sprinklers on the farm, all of the items in my chest, literally anything that could be sold for money, I sold it. At the end of the day, I made a huge 1,282,570 gold. I was rich. Most of that money, of course, came from the pumpkin juice, which sold for 1,008 gold a pop. That's why pumpkins are just so awesome to sell for huge amounts of money. It was the last day of the challenge. No matter run it was, this is the 100 days as a vegan, plus an extra few days to make it a year. So the red cabbage was ready. We're going to grab that, go to the community centre, and we're going to throw that in to complete the dye bundle. Unfortunately, we couldn't complete the community centre because we just couldn't get the other items needed. Now, I could have got the tortilla and I could have completed the chef's bundle if I saved the corn and just made one because I had the recipe for it. Or I could have bought the recipe off Gus to make it easily enough. I could not for the life of me get my hands on a moral for the field research bundle. It just did not pop up. Out of all the vendors that I checked, out of all the travelling I did, didn't come across one. Couldn't get the maple bar or the blackberry cobbler from the merchants. They're year 2 recipes, so not much I could do about that. So that was just RNG not on my side. And then if we take a look at the snacks bundle, the roasted hazelnuts is another year 2 recipe. So that wasn't popping up for me at all through the merchants, and I was checked the travelling cart every time she appeared, but it just wasn't happening. So if I got a 200-day challenge from this, I would easily complete the community centre. So at the end of this challenge, on hand, I had 1,838,140 gold. And the total earnings I made was 3,246,398 gold. Not bad, considering the fact that I couldn't actually fish. Wasn't a bad figure to end up with. So I'm going to leave the video there. I really hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks again to all my channel members for supporting me thus far. I really appreciate it. I hope you all have a great day, everyone, and I'm sure I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.